You're listening to the Business Communicators.
Thomas, you were the one that mentioned the Jeff Bezos letter. I believe it was you. Maybe it was Hattie. I can't remember. The text thread has been an absolute blur. But give us the highlights of Bezos's letter and why it's important and why communicators should care about it.
One, to kind of set the stage, is every year he kind of pens an open letter to his shareholders, to his staff, to his employees, to anybody who will read it. And every year, if you look at it, there's case studies upon case studies about the empathy or the topics and how he communicates and how his style of just bringing everything together. And this past one is his last one because he's stepping down, or has already stepped down. I don't know the exact date that he's stepping down and passing it over to his Amazon Web Services COO, or now going to be CEO. And some of the letters show a lot of empathy. I'm trying to find the exact quote. I don't know if one of y'all have it up right now.
It's a long letter. I don't have the exact quote that you're looking for up right now. I do have his letter up, and I've got a few things highlighted that I wanted to mention. But we'll come to that, I guess, when we, maybe discuss our takeaways a little bit more.
I thought it was really interesting that the first thing that stood out for me when he said, you should create more than you consume.
That's exactly what I have.
I was looking for. That was the quote.
Yeah. It says if you want to be successful in life, actually, you have to create more than you consume. That your goal should be to create value for everyone that you interact with. And what I love that he follows up with that, demonstrating or showing how value was created not only for with each shareholder, employer, the consumer, the third-party sellers, everyone. He outlines it in a very clear, concise way. Or as my former company says, smart brevity.
Well, we can put up the text on the screen right now, but it says, if you want to be successful in business and life, actually, you have to create more than you consume. Your goal should be to create value for everyone you interact with. Any business that doesn't create value for those it touches, even if it appears successful on the surface, isn't long for this world. It's on the way out. And I think Amazon has done a great job of creating value for people because it's convenient. It's a time saver. We had a giveaway on the podcast a few weeks ago, and we gave away a notebook and a light. And, just us going to the post office and mailing it. I mean, shipping costs were like $15, to send the prize here locally in Houston, and we take for granted that we get free 2-day shipping on Amazon. I mean, just things like that, which are absolutely insane. But Thomas, what Hattie, I see you kind of like shaking your head.
I don't take it for granted. Amazon is my best friend. I think I order something off of Amazon every other day. I just ordered some things yesterday. And like you said, it's the convenience, they are customer service. They're quick, fast, and I just love it. I mean, I have to actually hide the app on my phone because if I don't, I'll be on it all the time.
Going into the pandemic, it reminds me of that joke about, hey, honey, since we're blocked in, we're going to be saving so much money. Okay. Do we want these shirts in red or blue from Amazon? But while we did find the quote from this year, I wanted to kind of go back and look at some of the ones that he did from the last years, like 97. So mind you, 97, it was just starting off, and the theme of his letter was bring on shareholders who aligned with your values. Other ones on there state, in lean times, build a cash moat. Don't deliberate over easily reversible decisions. If you can change it, why are you spending hours upon hours making the decision? But last year's was, in times of crisis, be aggressive and agile. And so if you have the opportunity, I recommend to kind of go through and read the Cliff Notes or read the whole letter that he pens out there. But think about the overall arching theme. And that's why it really struck me, was it's his last one. And I'm hoping that at some point in time they create a book and just like let you read it, like the Steve Jobs book.
I would imagine that's probably going to be the case. I mean, what I like about Bezos is that he's not afraid to speak his mind. Sometimes he's come off as a little bit of aggressive, and there's controversies going on right now with Amazon unions and all of that, but I like the guidelines that he basically kind of outlines for communicators, just offering a takeaway, maybe a challenge that exists, a potential solution to a certain problem. And really, I think there's a lot that people can learn from Amazon because, you look back in the 90s when it was just an online bookstore, so many people, so many investors were concerned. Old school investors were concerned and saying that there's no way that these numbers are true. This company's not even turning a profit. And the entire narrative for Amazon was it's not about the numbers you see now. People are investing in potential. They're investing in the future. And that's exactly what he highlights, in his letter this year. And I think that's the same for a lot of people when, you're looking for a job maybe. They're not looking, necessarily what you've done. They're looking at what you can do and what you can bring to the company moving forward.
And also, everyone feels like an owner. They have ownership, and they take that ownership in the company as well, and they take it very seriously. So, whether it's a third-party seller who is selling something on there, they know they're selling on behalf of Amazon. You have employees who are in the warehouse getting those products out. They're making sure that they're done well and nothing is broken or everything because they have an investment in it as well. And it's sort of like one of my former businesses too. Is one of their tenets was act like an owner. And when you do that, it's going to increase quality and make sure that whatever is disseminated is the best that can be. But what I really liked about the communication itself, as a communication, it not only told you what we did, how it did, but also why it did what it did. And those are some of the key elements of any good communication. You tell people tell them what you do. Tell them why it's beneficial. If there's something they need to be doing to take action on, here's the action that you need to take. Those kinds of things, so people know that they need to do something. So the way it's structured, the way it's outlined, it is a wonderful, clear communication, and it gets you excited. I mean, as a consumer, I was excited.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I felt part of it.
I think the one thing that you're leaving out there is it also shows his how humble he is, because he identifies that, hey, we've had challenges with the drivers and the bad stories that have come out. We've had challenges with the possible unionization, Larry Forgan, so that's irrelevant. But he says, it's clear to me that we need a better vision of how to create value for our employees. He's taking it, he's like, we're not perfect. We're still trying to figure this out. But here's how we, help us.
He acknowledges that there are problems. Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows his humility. Like it points out everything in the communications, but then him as an individual also shows that he's human.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to admit that your company does have flaws, because no company is perfect. And if you can't admit that your company is imperfect, you're not going to grow and you're not going to develop. You're not going to expand. It's something, when you look at his letter from 2016, he writes about moving fast and focusing on outcomes. And he says companies that get complacent die. Bigger companies are even more at risk because growth and scale make it harder to move quickly when you spot an opportunity. To stay alive, big companies must strive to make decisions and act faster. And it's the same thing, like if you are complacent with what's going on at your company today, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to advance. You're not going to be able to adapt to the market around you. And honestly, that's what I see with a lot of communications professionals. And, not calling anyone out, but, the companies that I see floundering today, some of the smaller companies, like, smaller agencies or smaller communications consultants, they don't know about digital. They don't know how to integrate with, employee communications, how to leverage new technologies to engage staff. And it's the same thing that I've said multiple times on the podcast. Like, if it worked 5 years ago, it probably doesn't work now. What worked 2 years ago probably doesn't work now. What works now is not going to work in 5 years. And so you've always got to be pushing the envelope, and you've always got to be seeking opportunities to continue to learn and continue to grow.
And that's because you also need to stop just saying that people are your greatest asset, and make sure that whatever you're doing, you're doing that.
Yeah,
because a lot of companies, and that's the thing, companies say that people are our greatest asset, and then they are not able to follow through on the things that show that they value their people. It's to me, it's just surface talk.
It's a two-part thing. And I'm going to agree with you, Hattie, is I'm always saying that your employee should be your biggest customer, your biggest cheerleader. And if not, then there's the challenge of it. We talk voice of customer, voice of employer. I talk voice of customer, voice of employee, and want to make sure that they're matching the same thing. Because there's so many companies that you work for that put up the mission, vision, and values on the wall. And we put customers first. But yet anytime something happens, it's the customer's fault. Or anytime that something happens, we're going to push the employee out of the bus. They're no more than a number at the end of the day. There's two parts of it. And we were talking about being agile and nimble. But I think the other part of it that we're missing is focusing on the customer. Because he's in 1998, he says, stay terrified of your customers. They're going to change. And then in 2008, work backward from your customers' needs to know what to build next. So Austin, as you're sitting there talking about the social media and these smaller shops, where are your customers going to be, or where are your customers' going to be if you're in the agency world? And then make sure you're there.
Absolutely. And, I'm kind of thinking like from a sales strategy as well. If you want to be, effective in sales, you can't sell people a product that you want to sell them, right? I mean, you need to sell them what they need. And you need
if it's not a product that you would even be bothered to use, you can't sell what you wouldn't.
Yeah, you got to believe in it.
That you don't believe in.
Exactly. But anyways, I think we can look at, Jeff Bezos as a really inspirational leader, looking how he has completely built Amazon to one of the largest and most powerful companies in the world. And now he owns, the Washington Post, Blue Origin. I mean, just so many companies. I mean, he might be retiring from the CEO position at Amazon, but he's not going anywhere. I mean, he'll be around for an incredibly long time. And, I think it's interesting. You look at his net worth. As of when we're recording this podcast, it's $194.3 billion, which is incredible. there was a TikTok last March. It was a guy named Humphrey. Can't remember his last name, but I think he's based in Dallas. And he actually gets he buys a ton of rice from Costco or Sam's or something like that. And ultimately he donates it all. But just to show the magnitude of Bezos' net worth, he gets 1 grain of rice and he says, all right, this grain of rice represents $100,000. And he was like, this pile of rice represents $1 million. And he's like, this pile represents, what Jeff Bezos paid for his recent home in California, which was something like $90 million or $100 million. And he was like, this is Jeff Bezos, complete net worth. And it was just insane to compare that and see this massive pile at the end of it. And anyways, I just thought it was a creative TikTok.
You've been listening to the Business Communicators.